In the early 1990s, young women from the Pacific Northwest launched an underground feminist revolution within the male-dominated punk scene. These women were joined by people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, and people with disabilities who were tired of toxic masculinity dominating the punk rock scene. Their movement was a revolt against sexism, racism, ableism, and homophobia. As feminist bands and grassroots organizers reacted to this culture of oppression, they offered new ideologies to reform gender identities, reshape the mosh pit and punk scene, and developed a revolutionary safe space for women to create art. Their lasting legacy includes reforms in feminist art, female mosh pits and punk scene, and a cultural redefinition of taboos surrounding womanhood, identity, and self-expression. Punk rock originated in the mid-70s that came from the disco and progressive rock era, but it was more than just music. Punk rockers believe in equality, social justice, anarchy, and leftist politics. The philosophy of punk is anti-establishment, anti-authoritarian, and culturally rooted in DIY, do-it-yourself culture. In the punk scene, women faced hostility, toxic masculinity, gatekeeping, harassment, and even physical violence at shows.
Sick to death for going to gigs and coming back with bruises and broken ribs. It's not fair because lads get everything, yeah?
Mosh pits, an area in front of the band where the audience dances, pushes, shoves, and slams each other, are a staple in the punk rock scene. In mosh pits, many women get targeted, pushed out, or even denied access from men. The Riot Grrrl's rage, creativity, and refusal to conform to social norms aligned perfectly with the punk scene's resistance-based aesthetic, but sexism was even more prominent in an equality-based movement. Although the movement is often portrayed as led by white, cisgender women, Riot Grrrl was revolutionized with the help of women of color and queer youth. Riot Grrrl was a roar from punk women in the 90s to show that they fought for their place in the punk scene. They wanted to revolt against more than just their stance in the punk movement, but the revolution against patriarchy. The underground punk rock movement pinpointed and attempted to reform female insecurities, sexist norms, and supporting all forms of female-made art. Through expression like clothing, hairstyles, makeup, tiny magazines called zines, and most of all, music, Riot Grrrl was able to empower each other. However, there was definitely intersectionality and inclusivity struggles. Many Riot Grrrls were marginalized due to their race and cultures, even though the movement aimed to fight systematic inequalities. Their messages reminded young women that suffering and being pushed to the side was not something to compare or dismiss. It was something to fight for. Riot Grrrl aggravated many people in the punk scene due to their aggression. People even called them estrogen terrorists. Infiltrating the mosh pit scene was the biggest immediate reform, transforming the concert environment to gender inclusive. Girls to the Front became a rallying cry, urging women to claim the space they deserved in mosh pits. The documentary, The Punk Singer, highlights how women were pushed out of mosh pits and physically targeted. Kathleen Hanna famously confronted aggressive men during shows. Riot Grrrls reacted to targeting violence by creating girls-only concerts with girls-only mosh pits. Art isn't just paint on a canvas. It's everything that comes from the human mind. Riot Grrrl art is raw, emotional, political, and revolutionary. Flyers, zines, stickers, and manifestos challenged the old belief that feminine equals weak and replaced it with feminine equals powerful. Zines became a lifeline for girls who lacked access to traditional publishing. Riot Grrrls reacted to mainstream editors rejecting their art and eventually printed their own work on library copiers and shared it by hand. Combat boots, shaved heads, spiked belts, boldly painted faces, Riot Grrrl style demanded attention. When student Lorraine LeBlanc was suspended in 1984 for distracting others with her punk appearance, it showed just how threatening female self-expression could appear to authority figures. Riot Grrrl became independent with their own art and punk rock styles. Newsweek's infamous 1992 article reduced Riot Grrrls to young, white, urban, and middle class. a claim the movement rejected for ignoring its diversity and political purpose. Riot Grrrls reacted to this article, reporting that it trivialized their feminist and equality-based views. Their stereotyping was proved wrong. Though the majority of Riot Grrrl bands were predominantly white women, so many people of color with diverse backgrounds helped push the movement more than people know. The X-Ray Specs, a groundbreaking punk band from the 1970s UK, played music to advocate for women's rights. Polly Styrene, the lead singer for the band, was a woman of color and a pioneer for Riot Grrrl. This reactionary defiant ethos laid the foundation for Riot Grrrl bands like Bikini Kill and Broutmobile, who turned that resistance into a broader movement against sexism and patriarchal control.
The men were slamming into the women in the front, and it was just like, our shows aren't the place for that.
Before the Riot Grrrl movement, many punk women reported that they felt isolated in their experiences with sexism, homophobia, or discrimination, especially in male-dominated subcultures. Girls' meetings, often called chapters, created safe, confidential spaces where girls could speak without interruption, share personal struggles, and build solidarity. These meetings operated almost like informal consciousness-raising groups, encouraging participants to realize that their experiences were not individual failures, but shared effects of a larger system of inequality. This immediate sense of community empowered girls to take more public action, writing zines together, forming bands, hosting workshops, and confronting harassment at concerts. Chapters also helped spread Riot Grrrl ideas from one city to another, allowing the movement to multiply rapidly across the US and even internationally. This fast-growing network of young women was one of the most influential short-term outcomes of the movement, providing the foundation for the long-term digital and DIY activism that would follow. Riot Grrrls achieved more than short-term disruption. It sparked cultural changes that still shapes feminism today. Riot Grrrl has been preserved as a niche subculture of punk rock that believes in anti-consumerism, feminism, body positivity, and fighting the patriarchy. Riot Grrrl's challenge to patriarchy didn't end in the 1990s. It evolved in today's digital bedroom activism. Online zines, blogs, and social media continue its mission, allowing anyone with a phone to amplify marginalized voices and resist patriarchal norms. This evolution remains tied to systematic inequality, as patriarchy persists in political institutions. Women only hold about 28% of seats in the 2025 119th U.S. Congress. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez reflect a modern Riot Grrrl resistance, calling out sexism as seen in her response to the Ted Yoho incident. Together, digital bedroom activism and political action continue to challenge patriarchy every day. Riot Grrrls were exhausted with human traits that are taught to be taboo. Zines and posters address the topics long treated as shameful. For example, periods, skin color, body hair, hygiene, and mental health. This helped redefine taboos by making them visible. Many other movements take place to spread awareness of bodily traits and to help those in need, especially in Hawaii. Today, 1 in 3 across the nation are worried about their ability to afford period products. The Ma'i movement is an organization advocating and donating feminine hygiene products to those who cannot afford them. The Riot Grrrl movement was an underground punk rock revolution built by women, people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, and so much more. The Pacific Northwest fostered feminist bands and activists who reacted to sexism, racism, ableism, and homophobia by creating new forms of creative media, women's mosh pits, and a bold reimagining of womanhood. Their reforms transformed mosh pits and DIY publishing, reshaped fashion and identity, and normalized conversations about topics once treated as taboo. Their message was simple: feminine does not mean weak. The Riot Grrrls changed punk rock for men into punk rock for all. Are you ready to revolt?